Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha. Mataji, Vinita Mataji, are you ready to welcome?
Mataji, yeah, I can do, Mataji, if you're busy.
Oh, okay. I just thought since you came on video.
No, my computer starts with the video, Mataji. That's why I was fine.
Okay. No problem. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining us and giving us your very valuable association today. Welcome to the conference call. May I know who all have joined today?
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas College Station.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika. Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining us and giving us your very valuable association today.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, so glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas, and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirtida Sundari.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Sundari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for always being there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Etchi Preeti Vilashini Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining us and giving us your consistent association on the call. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, so Ujjval Rasananda.
Hare Krishna, Ujjval Rasananda Prabhu. We are very, very eagerly waiting for today's class. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, my humble obeisances, Srila Prabhupada, especially joining from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sashidhar Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for your valuable association. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. This is Sudevi.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you're excited to hear more about worshipping deities. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, Mataji.
Anyone else would like to introduce their names?
Hare Krishna, this is Pragya. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the Vaishnavas.
Hare Krishna, Pragya Mataji. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your valuable association. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining us and giving us your very, very valuable association on the call today. And thanks to all the devotees who chanted so beautifully. Before we move ahead with today's session, I would like to share the quote of Srila Prabhupada for today. It's 14th April. Prabhupada says, "This Krishna consciousness temple is the hospital for the diseased spirit soul, and everyone is diseased. Come to this hospital. We shall take care of you and cure your material disease." Auckland, April 14th, 1972. Thank you all so much for joining us again, and a warm welcome to each one of you to this wonderful series on Archa Vigraha. Today, we have His Grace Ujjval Rasananda Prabhu, who will be presenting the second part of the two-part series
on glories of Archa Vigraha. The first part was welcoming Archa Vigraha, especially home deities. And today he will cover the second part, which is worshipping Archa Vigraha. Ujjval Rasananda Prabhu, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and doing this excellent series on the call. You can now take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, for joining once again for this series. Today's part 2, as Mataji already mentioned. So before we start, just share the PowerPoint. Before we start, we can say the prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once again, thank you all. Thank you everyone for joining today. So today we'll be talking, yesterday we spoke about what is the importance of doing deity worship, what is Shri Vigraha, and it was more like a theoretical class. Today will be more of a practical class. So before we do that, I want to share some quotes from Srila Prabhupada and the various acharyas. So this is from Srila Prabhupada in CC Madhya 19:152. He says, sometimes neophyte devotees think that they can continue the Shravana Kirtana process without worshipping the deity. But the execution of such Shravana Kirtan is meant for highly developed devotees like Haridas Thakur. So, however, one should not falsely imitate Haridas Thakur and abandon deity worship. Just try to engage in Shravana Kirtan. This is not possible for neophyte devotees. So Srila Prabhupada says here that we should engage oneself in worshipping the deity because we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur and continuously chant 198 rounds daily. This is from Bhakti Sandarbha. Jiva Goswami says, nonetheless, Vaishnavas following the path of Sri Narada and his successor endeavor to establish a personal relationship with the Lord by receiving the grace of a bona fide spiritual master through initiation. So in Bhakti Sandarbha, in this verse, Jiva Goswami is explaining the importance of Sri Narada Pancharatra, which is written by Sri Narada Muni, and why by endeavoring to follow his book, follow the vidhi that he's given, we are able to establish a personal relationship with the Lord. This is in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. It says that in the morning, afternoon, and evening, one should worship the deity, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, offer obeisances, and perform a fire sacrifice and feed the brahmanas. So in all of them, chanting Hare Krishna mantra is very important, but at the same time, doing deity worship is as important. This is from the Nectar of Devotion. The purpose of this verse is that if someone becomes attached to the Sri Murti or deity of Krishna by worshipping at home, then he will forget his relationships of so-called friendship, love, and society. This will save everyone from such unwanted activities as going to clubs, cinemas, and dancing parties, and smoking, drinking, etc. All such nonsense will be forgotten if one stresses the worship of the deities at home. I have a couple more. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the last two I want to say is, so this is from Srila Prabhupada, letter November 10, 1975. This is very important business, deity worship. The more the deity is decorated, the more your heart will be decorated with Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada also explains in 1865 that, and we should also understand that this Vigraha is not just a deity. The Vigraha should be treated as a human being. One should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with the beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. So I forgot to mention this point yesterday in the class, that the Vigraha should be treated as a person. Shri Krishna is a person, and we should be treating the deity just the same way that we treat a normal person. For example, many times during the dressing at temple, we are first taught that make sure that the way you put the pins in the turbans, the clothes, make sure it does not poke the deity, because we treat the deity just as a person. If we poke a pin in ourselves, we'll start bleeding. So we don't want to make Krishna bleed. We don't want to hurt Krishna. We don't want him to feel any sort of uncomfortable, and we don't want to give him an uncomfortable environment on the altar. So we should always treat the deity as a person. So moving into today's class. So today's class will be more of a practical class. I'll be setting a basic example structure of standards that one can follow. And the entire class will be based on the Panchanga Archana from Pancharatra Vidhi. They're the 5 limbs of worshipping. So the first is Abhigamana, which is approaching the altar. The second was Upadan, gathering articles for worship. Third is Ijya, which is the worship of the Lord. Fourth is Swadhyay, cultivation of one's devotional service. And the last is Yoga, becoming fixed in one's spiritual identity as a servant. So this Panchanga Archana is mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilas and in Pancharatra Vidhi. And it's setting up basically a full day standard or structure of your routine. You start first with Abhigamana, which is approaching the altar, and we'll talk more in detail what that is. Then we go to Upadan, then we go to Ijja, the actual worship. And then after that, we do Swadhyay and Yoga. So this covers the entire day, starting from 4:30 in the morning, Brahma Muhurta, up to the time you actually go back to sleep. So for this structure, for this class, I want to set a simple daily schedule that I'll be following. This includes having Radha Krishna deities, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra deities, and Gauranathar. So we'll be talking about 3 offerings, 1 fruit and sweet offering in the morning, then a full feast offering around noon, 1 small offering of warm milk and light snacks. We'll be talking about 2 artis, 1 full arti in the morning and 1 short arti in the evening. We'll also be talking about waking up the deities, giving them a short midday nap, and giving them shayan in the night. So this is one variation of the standard. This does not have to be followed. I'm not setting a standard based on whatever the books that I'll be mentioning. But this is just an example that can be followed. This is what I follow at my home. And this can be increased or decreased based on whatever is feasible. So let's begin first with Abhigamana, approaching the altar. So Abhigamana starts with waking up early in the morning. Early, I am not saying any like Brahma Muhurta, but early is usually around before sunrise or even around sunrise. Then we clean oneself externally by showering, brushing our teeth, and putting on new clothes or clean clothes. After that, we clean oneself internally, doing achmana, putting tilak. These are all internal cleansing. And then after that, when we approach the altar, we offer obeisances to Shri Guru and the deities by chanting appropriate mantras or the names of the deities. And for second initiates, it is always recommended to perform Sandhya, which is doing their Gayatri, in front of the lordships. whatever, all three of them. It's always recommended to chant and do that in front of the lordships. So in Abhigamana, we talked about Achman. So I'll go into how to do an Achman. And before we do that, let us understand why do we do Achman. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 7th chapter and 17th verse, the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that generally, whenever any ritualistic ceremony is begun, the holy name of Lord Vishnu is first chanted in order to purify the situation. We have heard of that very famous verse. It is from Garuda Puran. Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastham gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhaya bhyantara suchihi Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So that verse is actually very important. It says Om apavitra pavitro va, whatever inauspicious and auspicious there may be. Sarva avastham gatopi va, whatever avastha, whatever situation we are in. Sabhya abhyantaraha, bhaya and abhyantara, internal and external, let it be purified. Suchihi. By what? By chanting the names of Shri Vishnu. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So that is from the Garuda Puran. And that verse is used anytime in deity worship, yagyas, any puja that is done. So Srila Prabhupada further explains, and Hari Bhakti Vilas also further explains, that devotees should perform Achmana to achieve physical and mental purity. Before performing any spiritual activities, Achmana should be done. Before putting on tilak, Achmana should be done. And performing sandhya or even doing japa, an Achman should be done. Just as immersing the body in water brings about physical and subtle cleansing, so taking water infused with mantras into the body by sipping performs a similar function. So let's understand how to do Achman. So as you saw in the previous picture, we have an Achman cup and with a spoon, which is called Udarni. And we set an empty Achman cup in place on a clean surface and we fill it with fresh water. After that, we invoke Ganga and other holy rivers by chanting this mantra. Gange cha Jamuna chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jaresmin Sannidhim Kuru. What this means is, may water from the holy rivers Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, and all Narmada, Sindhu, and Kaveri kindly be pleased be present in this water. So this invokes all the holy rivers in this water. And it's as potent as taking or doing these tirth snans, going to different places and taking bath in these rivers. It gives you the same effect. Now, once we have this Achman cup ready, we should sit down on an asana, or we should at least stand on an asana. We should not stand directly on earth. After that, we should take from the udarni, from the spoon, take 3 drops of water in our right hand, and the Brahma Tirtha of your right hand. So Brahma Tirtha is actually where all these lines come together. And then it goes down this main line. So all these lines meet right in the center. And then through this line, the water should be sipped. So you put 3 drops of water. You should put your first finger like this in this mudra. Put some water in the middle. And through this line, the water should fall down and you sip it. And while in looking into the water, you should say Om Keshavaya Namaha and then sip it. And then you take a little bit of water and wash your hands. Then we do that one more time. Same thing, putting in the middle, doing Om Naranaya Namaha. We sip the water from the Brahma Tirtha and then we wash our hands one more time. Then we do Om Madhavaya Namaha and we sip the water in the we sip the water through the Brahma Tirtha, and then after that wash our hands. And while washing hands, you sprinkle water on both hands and say Om Govindaya Namaha. After that, this verse can be chanted Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastham Gatopiva Yasmaret Pundarikaksham Sabhyabhyantaraha Suchihi Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So this is how Achman is done. There is a much longer Achman which consists of the 24 names of Vishnu or Krishna. And that Achman is very long and not everyone can do that. But this simple Achman, which is given in Hari Bhakti Vilas, can be done by anyone. Non-initiated, initiated, or second initiated. Second initiated devotees are recommended to do the full Achman at least once daily. At beginning, it might take some time, maybe like 5-10 minutes, but after practice, it doesn't take more than 3-4 minutes. But everyone can do this, even second initiates. This is a recommended process. This is a verified process in Hari Bhakti Vilas by doing Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, and then Om Govindaya Namaha. And then after doing the Om Apavitra, you can put some water on your head as well. So second thing I want to talk about that was in Abhigamana was how to put tilak. So the tilak that we put is called Urdhva Pundra. And this tilak we put it in 12 places on our body, which also actually is the same. These names are the same for the 12 months in the Vedic calendar. So we start with the forehead, where we say Om Keshavaya Namaha. Then we go all the way down to our stomach, Om Narayana Namaha. Then we move up to the chest, Madhavaya Namaha. And then the hollow of the throat, right here, we say Om Govindaya Namaha. Then the right side of your stomach, where we first put the tilak, on the right side, we say Om Vishnave Namaha, Om Madhusudanaya Namaha, and Om Trivikramaya Namaha. Then we move to the left side, Om Vamanaya Namaha, Shridharaya Namaha, Rishikeshaya Namaha, Om Padmanabhaya Namaha, Om Damodaraya Namaha. And then for males who have a shikha, we can say Om Vasudevaya Namaha. So as you can see in the middle picture, we have the entire diagram and where exactly the mantras are situated and where should we say them. And so that's how you put tilak. Especially for second initiates, it's recommended before you do any deity worship, be at home or at temple, they should put these tilak at these 12 places. At home, it can be done. At temple, it can be done. And usually you'll get like a stamp, a tilak stamp. So if you just put tilak on it, you can just stamp the tilak while saying the mantras. We don't have to physically make the tilaks. And that is completely fine. And at home also, first initiated devotees can also do this. Tilak can be worn by anyone, so it's completely fine. So let's move on to the second point of Panchanga Archana, which is Upadan. So Upadan is coming from Archana Dipika and Pancharatra Vidhi, these two books. They describe Upadan as picking flowers, tulsi leaves, and gathering various items required for worship. So usually after Abhigamana, when you wake up the deities is what usually thing is. We'll go over the entire schedule actually in much detail. But after waking up the deities, we start to gather the articles for the worship. The arati, the bhogas, the different things that are required for one's worship, whatever the standard you have set. So the first thing we'll talk about is gathering the arati plates. How do we prepare the arati plates? Then we'll talk about how to do the bhoga offerings, how to set the plates, sorry. And then we also need to set, after waking up the Lord, we need to prep some water for the Lord to wash his face and mouth. And then whatever else is necessary for one's daily standards. So that all should be prepared. So let's first talk about how to get bhoga plates ready. So just giving an idea, we'll be talking about a lot of information in today's class. I'm trying to cover as much as possible in this 1 hour. So there'll be a lot of information. So I request everyone to pay attention, and we'll have time for as many questions as one has. So we can always ask questions. And if someone is looking for specific standards for their deities, they can reach out to me personally, and we can talk about setting a standard for the deities and what can be done based on one's feasible routine. So as we talked, this entire presentation will be based on the schedule that I set in the beginning. So the first thing we want to talk about is a fruit or a sweet offering in the morning. You should have a bowl of cut fresh fruits, not the fruits that are already cut in the store. The fruits should be fresh, and they should be cut that day off. Have fresh milk sweets. Milk sweets you can make before and store it in a proper refrigerated area. And that's fine. You don't have to make it the day off. And a glass of either warm milk or water, based on whatever is possible. Then the second plate you want to get ready is around the noon, we have a full feast offering. So it should consist of grains even on Ekadashi. Ekadashi is for us, not for the Lord. So we don't have to give him quinoa and sabudana. Of course, whatever we're eating, we can offer, but make sure we have some grains for the Lord. And on a normal basis, we can have rice, dal, sabji, roti, papad, yogurt, sweet water, etc. All items must be freshly made for the Lord. And then for the evening times after waking the Lord up from his nap, we can offer a small offering of warm milk and light snacks, light savory snacks, and a glass of warm milk. You can also keep water with it. And all items must have tulsi leaves or manjaris before it gets offered to the Lord. Krishna only accepts items that have tulsi, else he doesn't. And that is from the Tulsi Shaligram story, and that where it says that Krishna says that whatever item or whatever offering has tulsi, I will gladly accept it. And there's a famous story of Shri Govardhan Maharaj, where Shri Giriraj, actually, when all the Brajavasis were offering items to Giriraj, Giriraj kept saying, "Ani more, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more." And then there was one offering which had tulsi in it, and as soon as Giriraj accepted that, he was satisfied. He didn't want any more. So that's the importance of tulsi. And make sure that all the items are fresh and hot. If you have poured it in a bowl and it's there for some time and it's gotten cold, it's better to refill it with hot ingredients and offer that. And no tasting, smelling, or enjoying the bhoga with our senses before it's offered. So we should be careful that we're not tasting the bhoga that we're making, and we should make it with the right attitude, the right mindset in the kitchen. And if you feel that you have put less salt, it is advised that you keep a small bowl of salt just for the Lord to put if he needs extra. But we should not taste before we offer the bhoga. Okay, so now we'll talk about how to get the arti plates ready. So we talked about two arti standards. The first one is a full arti. A full arti, we can see the picture on the right, consists of incense sticks 1, 3, or 5. It also has a ghee lamp with cotton wicks, 1 or 5. We can see both in the picture. We have 1 and we have 5. Then arghya or fresh water. So with that, we have a conch for bathing and a cup or patra to hold the water, as we can see. And the conch may have a holder. So some arti plates come with a holder for the conch, some don't. Then we need a cloth for drying the Lord. It's a handkerchief. Then we have flowers, odd number. We have chamara and vyajana, and a bell and an achman cup. So this is for the full arti. The next arti is a dhoop arti, which is a short arti. So short arti has incense sticks 1, 3, or 5. Usually you'll see 1 in dhoop arti. Again, then flowers, odd numbers, chamara and vyajana, which is the peacock fan, and bell and achman cup. Now for tulsi arti, which is advised for everyone to perform daily, you have incense sticks, then a single ghee lamp, flowers, bell, and achman cup. So there's no chamar and vyajana that's offered to Tulsi Maharani. So we can see that the single ghee lamp in the picture right next to the conch, that's the one I'm talking about. So that is used for Tulsi Arti. And the dhoop arti is with incense sticks, but sometimes there can be a single ghee lamp as well. And all items must be cleaned daily, and if needed, polished and kept back at their designated place. So one can set a standard saying that every 15 days or twice a month, all deity paraphernalia will get polished. So brass items, silver items. So we can set a standard like that. But daily, all the items should be cleaned, especially the ghee lamps with soap, because when it burns, it leaves a residue. So that can be cleaned with soap and dried and then kept back immediately at their designated place. So now let us go on understanding how do we worship the Lord. So we have these bhoga plates ready. We have these arti plates ready, but how do we offer these to the Lord? So the first thing I want to talk about is understand what is Ujjval. So Ujjval is basically serving one's worshipful deity in various ways. That can be arti, that can be kirtan, that can be offering bhoga. Anything that we use to worship the Lord is Ujjval. So the first thing I want to talk about is how to wake up the Lord. So as we saw in Abhigamana, is that we approach the altar. But in the morning, when we approach the altar, the deities are sleeping. So how do we wake up the Lord? So before we wake up the Lord, we should prepare some warm water in a small ghata or a glass or a utensil to hold the water, and a cloth as a towel, so a handkerchief or a small towel. And this is used for the Lord to wash his face, mouth, and brush his teeth. So we wash our mouth, we wash our face, we brush our teeth, so does the Lord. So we prepare some water, warm water, and we keep a towel for him to wipe himself. Then one should enter the altar in a happy and festive mood, ringing a bell. We don't want to go up to the altar. We don't want to open the altar with a very sad face. We want to be happy. We want to have a festive mood. Krishna should be happy to see us, and we should be happy to see the Lord. And while ringing the bell, we should say Jaya Shri Shri Guru Gauranga and the deity's name. So for example, if I'm doing at my home, I'll do Jaya Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Shri Radha Nilamani Ki Jai. So the main deity's name can be said at this time. After that, we approach our Guru and request him to please rise from your sleep. So we can say, "Oh, merciful spiritual master, please rise from your sleep." So these are actually Sanskrit mantras that should only be chanted by second initiates. So I won't be releasing the mantras here, but a second initiate devotees, if they need the mantras, I can provide them later on. But we can, for now, we can do a simple request to Sri Guru and asking him to please rise from his sleep. And the same thing can be done from the Lord. So, "O merciful," their names like "O merciful Gaurnitai" or Shri Gaurnitai, please rise from your sleep. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi, please rise, and the deities Radha Krishna, the name. So a similar procedure can be followed. And this is the order. We'll go for Guru, then Guru Parampara. Then if you have 6 Goswamis, a Panchatattva picture, then Gaurnitai, then Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and then Radha Krishna. So that's the order one should follow. And at that time, we offer the warm water and a cloth or a towel to the deities for them to wash their faces, the mouth, and brush their teeth. And after that, once the offering is done, we'll talk about how to offer as well. But once the offering is done, then we decorate the Lord back with their paraphernalia that was taken off the night before. So for example, putting back the flute, if Radharani was holding anything in her hand, then we give that, put that back. So we decorate the Lord back with their paraphernalia. And then after that, we offer the deities some freshly cut fruits or sweets with milk or water. So now, how do we offer the bhoga? That is actually very important on understanding how to offer the bhoga. So whenever we bring the bhoga plate from kitchen or from anywhere, it should be covered before it gets to the altar. So cover it with like a paper towel or a cloth, that's fine. Any handkerchief, cloth, that's also fine. We place the bhoga plate in front of the deities and we uncover. And then we invite the deities and the Guru with the parampara, with your spiritual master, to honor the bhoga. So first we want to invite our Guru to please come and honor the bhoga. And then after that, we invite the deities. So the order is the same, from going from Guru, then to Gaurnitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, then Radha Krishna. Then we cover the deities. So we put like a stand, or if we have curtains, then we cover the deities while they're honoring the bhoga. We should not see the deities while they're honoring. And so now how do we offer? So now that we've placed the bhoga plate in front of the deities, we have invited everyone to come and honor the bhoga. And then we close the curtains. After that, while ringing a bell, we chant the following prayers. So we say the Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate, your guru's name, Iti Namine. After that, we say the prayers for Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamine Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So this is all done while ringing the bell. After that, continuing to ring the bell, we invite the deities by saying these prayers 3 times. So it's like Nama Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratashe Namaha. Then we say again 2 more times, Nama Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratashe Namaha. Once that prayer is done 3 times, then we move on to the next one. Nama Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we say each of these prayers 3 times, and then after that, we're still ringing the bell, and then we say these prayers once. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And then we stop ringing the bell, we put the bell back, and we pay our obeisances. We should pay our obeisances and leave the temple room for at least 10 to 15 minutes for the Lord to honor the meal. At this time, all the brahmanas can chant their Gayatri during this time if it is the same time as for Sandhya, else they can chant at their regular time. So now we have offered the bhoga. Now, how do we take the bhoga out? So after 10-15 minutes, we ring the bell, we knock. If it's a room, then we knock before entering. Else we ring the bell. And we take permission from the deities and guru to remove the plate. So we request the deities, is it okay if I can take this plate back as prasadam, if you please allow. We cover the plate, we bring it back, we take off the curtains, we open the curtains. If everyone will be honoring, if your family members will be honoring the prasadam after the offering, then we can keep it covered. Then we can keep the curtains covered, we can keep the deities covered. Else we can open the curtains. We mix all the items back in the original pot, and we wash all the bhoga utensils. So this is how we offer bhoga. So we bring the plate covered, we offer to the deities. After that, we after 10-15 minutes, we request the Lord if we can take the plate back, and we mix back the items and we wash the utensils. Everything should be washed and dried and kept back. We always want to make sure that we're keeping the cleanliness standard as high as possible. If your standards of doing the deity worship is low, that's fine, but the cleanliness standard should not be low. There is no exception to cleanliness. So now let's talk about how to offer arati. So before we offer arati, we should make sure that one's spiritual master's photo is already placed on the altar and the arati plate is prepared. So we saw earlier that how to prepare the artis, arati plate, and that should be done. So this is after upadan. Upadan means to get everything ready. So this all should be ready. And then we make sure that the guru's picture is already on the altar. We also want to make sure before we do the arati is the deities are ready. The deities are decorated with all their paraphernalia, and everything should be ready on the altar before we go ahead and perform the arati. So we bring the arati plate and put it on we place the arati plate on a table of some sort, and we perform achman. So the arati plate should have the achman cup, So we perform Achmana, same way with the mantras that we mentioned before. Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. After performing the Achman, we put few drops of water from the cup over the conch shell, the blowing conch shell, and we blow the conch 3 times. And then we clean the conch shell again. So same way, just put a little bit of water on the conch shell, and we keep the conch shell in a proper place so it doesn't break. It's very delicate. So we want to make sure, we always want to make sure that we're keeping the conch shell at a place where it's safe and secure. So after blowing the conch shell 3 times, and then before we take any item, we should wash our hand. We should wash the item itself. So what I mean by washing is not actually going under a sink and washing, but taking a little bit of water from the Achman cup, putting in our hands, and then putting a little bit of drops on the item itself. And we should first show the items first to our spiritual master, ask for his permission before we start the arti. We cannot do arti by our own self. We should not do. We should do it under the guidance of a spiritual master. If one doesn't have a spiritual master, then one should ask the permission of Srila Prabhupada. We take Srila Prabhupada as a spiritual master if we don't have a guru, a Diksha guru yet. And then following the recommended number of circles, which we'll talk about in the next slide, we will offer the items first to Krishna, then to Radharani, then Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and then Sudarshan, then Gauranga Mahaprabhu, then Nityananda, then the 6 Goswamis, Guru Parampara, spiritual master, and then all the assembled Vaishnavas. So after Gauranga and Nityananda, we can, if you have the Panchatattva picture or the deities, we can offer to them before we go ahead to the 6 Goswamis. So now let's understand how to do the arti. So the main arti has these items: incense, ghee lamp, a conch of water, cloth, flowers, chamara, and vyajana. So vyajana is peak of fan. So incense is 7 times around the body of the deity that we're offering. So we go 1, start at the feet. So you go 1 around the body, that's 1 circle, then 2 circle, 3, so on till the 7. And then we keep going. So we offer the incense to all the deities present. Then to the assembled Vaishnavas, we can just offer them like this, cover all the Vaishnavas that are assembled. And then we put the incense in an incense holder, not back on the arti plate. The arti plate is all the bhoga in one sense, and the incense is now prasad because it's already been offered. So that should go in a separate place. Then we put some water in our hand. We put water on the ghee lamp, not on the actual ghee wicks, but on the handle. And then we light the wicks, the con wicks. Then we show it to our spiritual master. After showing that, we go to Lord Krishna. So we do 4 times around his feet, then 2 times on the waist, 3 times on the head, and then 7 times around the entire body. We do that for all the other deities present. And then same way, after we're done, after we offer it to our guru, then we offer it to all the assembled Vaishnavas, and then that can be kept separate. We offer the ghee lamp to all the acharyas as prasad, so they can take the prasad, and then we give the prasad to the assembled Vaishnavas. The next is the conch of water. So the conch of water, first, the water is done 4 times over the head. So the head is mainly, I mean like the face. This is over the head. So we offer right here, we offer 4 times as well, while we do Abhishek the same way. So 4 times around the head, and then the 7 times around the body. And then after the same way, we offer to all the assembled Vaishnavas. The cloth is the handkerchief, or usually you won't use a towel. It's most of the times it's a handkerchief. And we go 7 times around the entire body, wiping the Lord. And then same way, offering to Sri Guru in the end, and then offering to all the assembled Vaishnavas. The flowers are done 7 times around the body of the deities. And then chamara and vyajana, there is no specific number. It's a suitable number of times based on how much time we have. I personally do either 1 time or 3 times on each deity. So you do 3 times on Krishna, 3 times on Radha, and you want to gently sway it. It should not be a very fast motion. Very calm and very, in a gentle way, you want to fan the Lord. Same with the peacock fan. Peacock fan either 1 or 3 times or 5 based on how much time you have. Suitable numbers, and that's only done in summers. In the winter, peacock fan actually generates a lot of cool air, and in winters, it can be very uncomfortable for the Lord. So it should only be done in summers on very hot days. Chamara can be done, but however, even in the winter, we want to make sure that the chamara we're not doing too many times, as also it generates cool air. So we want to do maybe once or twice just to offer to the Lord. And then chamara gets cleaned back. So after we take the chamara, we offer, we put some water and it gets placed back. It doesn't go to the assembled Vaishnavas. It gets placed back. So that's the main arti. Now we want to talk about the Dhoop arti. So Dhoop arti is, the numbers don't change regardless of the personality we're offering it to. So incense is 7 times around the body, flowers are 7 times around the body, and then we do chamara and vyajana. Then for Tulsi Arti we do again incense 7 times around Tulsi Maharani. Then the ghee lamp is 4, 2, 3, and 7. So 4, 2, 3, 7, how that works is, so you have the pot, then the soil where the Tulsi branches are, then you have the leaves, and then you have the head. So you offer 4 to the feet. So the feet is where the roots start. Then 2 to the waist, 3 to the head, and then 7 times around the entire Tulsi Maharani, including the pot. So that's how it's done. Then we offer flowers 7 times. And then, sorry, I need to change this. Tulsi Arti does not have chamar or vyajana. So it'll only have incense, ghee lamp, and flowers. Now, if you're doing a Dhoop Arti with ghee lamp, then yes, you have chamara and vyajana. So if it's just Tulsi Arti, it's only incense, ghee lamp, and flowers. If it's a Dhoop Arti with a ghee lamp, then we also include chamara and vyajana. And make sure the ghee lamp is, at that time, is only 1 ghee lamp, so it's not the entire 5. And even for the main arti, that's optional. You don't have to have a 5 with ghee lamp. It can be also 1. That's fine. So the last step of Ujjval is to request the Lord to sleep. So we want to take off all the decorations of the Lord so they can sleep peacefully. Crowns, flutes, anything in the hand. We want to remove anything that can cause any disturbance in their sleep. It is very important, again, that we treat the Lord as a person. Will we want to sleep with a flute in our hand? It will be so uncomfortable. So we want to do the same for the Lord. You want to take the decorations off, make it comfortable for the Lord to sleep. After that, we request the deities to sleep. So here I have one example, O Lord Gauranga. We can ask any of the deities, like O Lord Krishna or Sri Radha Krishna. We can also put them together. Please come to your resting place along with your associates. O Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai, please come to your resting place along with your associates. Again, these are mantras that are said. These are just the translations of the mantras. So for second initiates, it's recommended we say the mantras. At home, you don't have to, but it's recommended that you should. So if you can, it's good to say the mantras. And then after that, we request one spiritual master to as well come and sleep. So we can have beds for the deities. I have one example on the right. So this is a bed for the deities, actually. And we can have beds, or we can mentally tell them to please, and we can mentally invite them to their resting place. So if you have physical beds, we don't have to pick up the deities and place them. We, of course, mentally invite them to the bed. And if we don't have a bed, that's fine. That can also be done mentally. And after that, we switch off the lights, we ring the bell, close the curtains, pay our obeisances, and then we leave the temple room. So that's how we do the Shayana Seva. So we talked about Jagrana Seva, which is waking up the Lord, talked about offering the bhoga, doing the arti, and then after that, doing the Shayana Seva. So this covers the Abhigamana, Upadan, and Ujjval. Now, after it is recommended in Hari Bhakti Vilas, after any service we do the Aparad Shodhana, begging forgivenesses for offenses. We commit so many offenses. Actually, Hari Bhakti Vilas states that there's 64 offenses one can commit on the altar while doing deity worship. So there's so many offenses that we commit. So we should rectify that, and we should beg for forgiveness from the Lord for offenses that we have committed. So there's 6 mantras that are there, and we can say these mantras after Shayana Seva for the entire day, or we can do it after every Seva that you do. We can say these mantras, whatever is okay and whatever is feasible. So the mantra is Mantra Hinam Kriya Hinam. So whatever little puja or worship that I've done, Bhakti Hinam Janardhana. Bhakti Hinam, it is without any Bhakti Janardhan. Yat Pujtam Maya Deva Paripurnam Tatastume. Whatever without proper performance, without the proper mantras, please let that become complete. So many times the mantras are specific, there's specific ways to chant the mantras. And many times, either we don't know how to chant or we make mistakes in the pronunciations. So we ask Lord Janardhana to please forgive us for that and let that puja, the worship that we have done, become complete. Yad dattam bhakti matrena patram pushpam phalam jalam. Whatever we have offered with our bhakti, with our endeavors, nivedyam, whatever we have offered, the fruit, food, please accept that with your causeless mercy. So we ask Lord Krishna to accept whatever has been offered with devotion, being leaf, the flower, fruit, water, food offering, nivedyam. Please accept it out of your causeless mercy. Third mantra is vidhihinam mantrahinam. So vidhi, without following the proper procedure. Mantrahinam, without properly chanting the mantras. Yat kinchan upaditam. So whatever we have offered, whatever we have done, kriya mantram vihinam va tat sarvam shantumarhasi. Please forgive all that. Whatever has happened without the proper chanting of the mantra, without following the proper procedure, please kindly forgive us and accept. The next mantra is Agnanad Athava Gyanad. Unknowingly or knowingly, ignorance or out of ignorance. Ashubham Yamaya Kritam. Whatever inauspicious things that I've done. Shantumarasi tat sarvam. Dasyenaiva grihanamam. I am your servant, O Lord. Sthiti seva gatir yatra smritischinta stutir vacha. Bhuyat sarvatmana Vishnu maidyam tvai chitam. So let my normal condition, sthiti, be service. Let my movement be holy pilgrimage. Let my thought, bhuyat, be remembrance of you. Let my words be glorification of you. O Vishnu, let my activities with my whole mind, body, and soul be engaged in you. So this is the fourth verse. The fifth is aparadra sahasrani. We have committed sahasra aparads. Kriyantena nishammaya, by day and night. Dasa ham iti matva shamatsva madhusudana. By thinking of you, by thinking of me as your servant, kindly forgive these, O Madhusudan. The last verse is Pratajnatava Govinda Name Bhakta Pranashyati Iti Shamsita Samsitya Pranam Sandhanayamiham. O Govinda, your promise is that your devotion will never perish. Your devotee will never perish. By remembering this over and over again, Samsitya, I am able to retain my life heirs. So this is the Aparada Shodhana. They are 6 verses begging forgiveness for our offenses. We can print these mantras on a piece of paper, and we can place them on the wall of the on the side of the wall on the altar somewhere, and we can always say these mantras whenever possible. So that covered the Ijja. Now, the Swadhyay and Yoga, that is basically Swadhyay is the cultivation of one's devotional service. That includes doing japa, reading Prabhupada books, engaging with different devotees. So that is all Swadhyay. The whole point of doing the Panchanga Archana is that by doing Abhigamana, by doing Upadan, by doing Ijja, we are able to cultivate our own Swadhyay. As I mentioned yesterday as well, that this day and age is not of devotional service. That was the previous age. This day and age is of Harinam Sankirtan, doing japa. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Name Kevalam Kalo Naste Vanaste Vanaste Vakatiranyatha. There's no mention of deity worship. The only mention is Hare Nama. So deity worship, as we saw, there's very much importance given to deity worship. And Srila Prabhupada emphasized it so much. Jiva Goswami emphasized, all the other acharyas emphasized that so much. So we should definitely do deity worship at home. And at the same time, we should not forget that we have to do our japa. We have to do our own swadhyay. We have to do our own daily reading of Srila Prabhupada books, reading the books of different acharyas, and then talking with other devotees, opening our hearts to other devotees, especially Uttama Bhaktas, doing sadhu sangha. So that comes all under swadhyay. Next is yoga. So yoga means becoming fixed in one's spiritual identity as a servant. So yoga is prayers that we offer to the Lord, asking Him to always keep us in His footsteps, always keep us situated in on His lotus feet. So that is very important, and the yoga is done during our swadhyay, when we're chanting our rounds, when we're doing our gayatris, when we're reading books. The entire reason of doing our swadhyay is that we become fixed in our identity as a servant. So this is the Panchanga Archana. We start with Abhigamana, cleaning ourselves internally and externally, and then approaching the altar and seeing the Lord with a smiling face. Starting our day with that is amazing. It is very auspicious. Then we continue to Upadan, gathering articles for worship. Then we worship the Lord, and the worship of the Lord empowers us to do our swadhyay throughout the day, doing our japa, reading our books, reading the books that of Srila Prabhupada and different acharyas. So the Ijja empowers us to do our swadhyay. And how do we do our swadhyay? By keeping in mind, becoming fixed in one's spiritual identity as a servant. So this ends the entire Panchangarchana, which is the 5 limbs of worshipping. I went with a decently strict standard. The standard can get a lot more stricter. There are a lot more things that can be done within this Panchangarchana. And there are a lot of things that can be removed based on one's daily routine and based on what best they can offer. So again, I would like to thank all of you for listening to me and being present on this call. Please let me know if there are any corrections, any comments, any questions. We covered a lot of information. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them. And you can also reach out to me later if there are some personal questions that one has, or if they need some guidance based on Shastras on how to set their own standards. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful and elaborated class. Each and every small thing you have explained, and this is a lot of details. I have to go again and hear it very carefully. And I have one question, Prabhuji. Are you sharing this material with us?
Yes, I can share the material, but as someone said in the chat, Prabhu, I will not be able to share the mantras, as these mantras are only for second initiates. Of course, I'll share the PPT. So the PPT has all the mantras that one can chant, but the other mantras, you can reach separately, and I can share that there. But yes, Mataji, I'll share the PowerPoint.
PPT. Okay, thank you. So we have raised hand. We have first Preeti Vilasni Mataji. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Ujjval.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. So delighted to hear this wonderful class from you. Everything was in great detail, and have been witness to seeing you, how you perform Aarati so beautifully, how you perform devotional service so beautifully. Honored to have my Shalagram worshipped by you. So thank you so much. And my question is about the now count of the incense, the Aarati wicks, all of that. For the incense, I don't know, but when I started off, I was trained to do 4 to 3 for even the incense. I don't know if that is wrong. I can stand corrected. If you can comment on that.
Yes, Mataji. So there are multiple such things like, yes, 4, 2, 3, 7 for incense, and then even flowers. Some say only 4 on the feet, or 4 and then 7. So based there, Hari Bhakti Vilas has many different vidhis that it follows. It's not just the Bhagavad and the Pancharatra. It talks about other vidhis as well. So if these numbers are from Hari Bhakti Vilas, then of course it's bona fide. Okay. The numbers that I shared is what is been given by the Pancharatra Pratipa, by the ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry.
Okay.
And that's what they follow in their temples in Mayapur and other ISKCON temples. So that's why, and this is also much simpler than doing incense 4, 2, 3, and then 7. So that was the reason why I shared these numbers.
Makes sense. So I'm just doing it again. I'm just repeating it again. Incense is 7. The deep we do 4 to 3 and 7. And then flower is also 7, right?
Yes, Mataji. Flower is also 7.
And conch is 4 over the head.
Yes, 4 over the head and then 7 around the body.
7 on the body. Yeah, the rest are pretty straightforward. 7,
yes.
7. Thank you again, Prabhu. Beautiful, beautiful class. It was so insightful. Like, I had so many corrections that I had to do, and thanks for speaking it up at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. This Harati thing, I have long time desired to learn properly. And this Excel sheet, initially when I joined Krishna Consciousness, one of the Prabhu has given us to all the Bhakti Vriksha members, but then somehow I lost that Excel sheet where it says like how many times each item should be offered, where it should be offered. And I was thinking how to find that. And today in your PPT, it is very detailedly explained. That's why I was asking if this can be provided to everyone. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. And we have Shama Kishori Mataji. Please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for this beautiful and wonderful session. Very, very enlightening. Prabhuji, for myself, with all the other commitments and priorities, being a working mom, etc., it is a bit daunting to do all these steps. So maybe, and the point is that I want to do something. I may not be able to follow everything, but I was told that I could do a minimum aarti where I have like the deep and flowers and incense. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji, of course. So as I said earlier, that this schedule or the standard that I said, or I was talking about in the PPT, it's not something that I'm expecting everyone to follow. It's just an example. And regarding the thing, Dhoop Aarti, yes, you can do Dhoop Aarti with the ghee lamp, as I talked about it. So let me share that one more time. So you can go to, so this Dhoop Aarti with the ghee lamp. So you can follow this standard Mataji, and that's completely okay to do one Aarti in one day. There is no requirement that you have to do 2 or 3 or 4 or how many Aartis. Set a standard that is, of course, best for you to do. But one thing, as I said last class also yesterday, that always make sure that whatever you are doing, you're doing your best. Is that truly the best you can give, or are there adjustments that can be made to give even more to Lord? So if this becomes the best possible way for you to do worship, then a Dhoop Aarti with ghee lamp is completely okay. But if there's certain times where you can do different adjustments or any different type of things, then of course we can put those as well.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And is this like a combined Tulsi Aarti? So we are doing it to the Lord also and then doing it to...
No, Mataji. So basically, Tulsi Aarti is only incense, ghee lamp, and flowers.
Okay.
So
but that has to be done separately.
That has to be done separately. Yes, Mataji.
Okay. And Prabhuji, when we do the conch, you said we pour it, like on the head, we show it to the head. So is that like a bath that we are...
Yes, Mataji, yes.
Okay, and that's why we are offering the cloth.
Yes.
And Prabhuji, what should we be chanting while we are performing Aarti? Is it okay to chant the morning program prayers or...
Yes, Mataji, of course. So there are mantras that are chanted while offering these items, but again, that's setting a very higher standard. So that's why I didn't include it. But during the Aarti, like if you're doing in the morning, then we can do some Saradava, or you can just even do Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's also fine.
And Prabhuji, the Bhoga offering, right? How many times should we chant the Guru mantra and then the, Prabhupada's mantra? Is that once or is that
yes,
twice?
So the Guru mantra and the Prabhupada mantra is once. These two mantras are done 3 times. The Nama Mavadanyaya Krishna Premrata and Nama Brahmana Devaya. Yes. And then after that, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Hare Krishna mantra is also done once.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I really appreciate all your time. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, we have Charana Lakshmi Mataji. Please go ahead, Mataji, with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisance. Prabhu, before invoking Ganga, what mudras is suitable, Prabhu?
There are actually many mudras that are done.
Yes, Prabhu. There are so many. Which one is the simplest one?
So it's usually recommended to do the Ankusha mudra, but
okay.
I would prefer, unless you are second initiated, then
that means, Prabhu, these mudras only can be performed by second initiation.
Yes, Mataji. Only second initiates can perform the mudra.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Dr. Karpakvalli Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji. One doubts I'm having, minimal doubts. Yes. So I am a neophyte devotee, and I am a Sudra also. I am not a Brahmana, but I am having some deities. I got the deity of Nitai Gauranga from my brother. He is a devotee from Visakhapatnam. We got. Then I am doing that Aarti and all day. As you have told, minimal I am doing. And then I have I don't have a Diksha Guru. I am placing Prabhupada. I am placing that Mahapariva in South India. I am from South India, Prabhuji. Mahapariva and all the 3, and Sai Baba, and another one, Tirunamalai one, Prabhuji is there. And that also I keep, and then I worship them. And then mainly I give Aarti for the Prabhupada and one. Then as Radha Krishna I do. Then Nitai Gauranga plus that what Prabhuji, Jagannath thing I'm having, that I'll do. As you told, I'm doing everything minimal. I'm doing 7 times. 7 times I do this 4, 3, 2 now. 4, 2, 3 now only I heard. I do that 4, 3, 3, 3 for that deities, the foot and everything. I got one deity from that Adi Vardaraja temple, that Adi Vardaraja temple, no, that also I got, and I'm worshipping that. I'm doing my this thing, and that Aparada Mantram, I only say I'm working, no, quickly I do all these things, and then I do that Kayena Vasa Mansiyandeva Bhutyatma, I will say that only. That's my Abadara, that I will say, please forgive me if anything they do. Then I say that and go and I run, Prabhuji. Is that another thing you told? No, you make the Sayanam and all. No, morning only I'm doing. Evening my husband will do some arati, and then more evening I cannot be doing. That's another sign of this thing. I don't know. God only must forgive me for all the offenses I'm doing. Anything, Prabhuji, you can advise me. Thank you, Prabhuji.
No, Mataji, please keep doing whatever you're doing. The main ingredient in doing the deity worship is our love and devotion for the Lord. So if we keep that in center, and whatever we offer to the Lord with our love and devotion, then the Lord always accepts. So even though these numbers and these mantras and these standards are all secondary.
Prabhuji, I always say that Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, I say that, and then Hare Krishna mantra. That only mean my mantra for me. No other mantra, I don't know.
That's why Hare Krishna is known as the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Actually, even in the book by Sachinandan Goswami, the Gayatri, and another book, there's a Gayatri Mahatmya. It is stated that the Gayatri mantras are lower than Hare Krishna mantras. The Gayatri mantras are basically a catalyst. They help you increase your swadhyaya. They help you increase your taste for the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But at the top end, Hare Krishna is the Mahamantra. You don't say the Gayatri Mahamantra. It is only Gayatri mantra. Only and only Hare Krishna Mahamantra or Hare Krishna mantra, the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Only that mantra is given the Mahamantra, the Upadhi of a Mahamantra. It is the mantra Raj. So if we're chanting this mantra, then we don't need anything else. So regarding the numbers, and that's completely fine, Mataji. But whatever we do, we should just do with love and devotion. That's the main ingredient.
Then we said the Purusha Suktam and Vishnu Sahasranama will say, Mother.
Yeah, Mataji, I also recite Purusha because I do yagyas. So without Purusha, yagyas cannot be done. So I would sometimes do Purusha daily or do what's that?
Purusha Suktam, that mantra, the Purusha Suktam, and that Vishnu Sahasranama, I will tell Prabhuji.
Yeah, sometimes I read Venkatesh Suprabhatam also. So all these things, I mean, they're all, what is it? Venkatesh Suprabhatam is just Govinda, right? Uttishta Govinda, Uttishta Gardhaja, Uttishta Kamalakanta, Trailokam Mangalam. So it is all Govinda only, because in the end, it just Krishna. Yes. So till the time we just keep worshipping the Lord with the love and devotion, then that's all that's needed.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you,
Prabhuji. We have Indulekha Mataji. Please go ahead with your question, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very informative session. I did have a question on two things that I missed in this. One is about the Narasimha Dev's Arati. When do we do that and how do we do that? And also Gaurarti, if possible, if you have time, Prabhuji.
Yes, of course, Mataji. So before I go, let me ask this. So you are wanting Narasimha Dev Arati and Gaurarti separately, correct?
Separately, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So Narasimha Arati, when you're doing separately, so that can be done. So there's two times you can do them. You can do that after the main Arati separately, just to Narasimha Dev. Or you can do it around the evening time after Gaurarti, because that's the dusk time, when Narasimha Dev appeared. So these two times Narasimha Dev Arati can be done. And you follow the same procedure, Mataji. The incense, then the ghee lamp, then the conch, then the cloth, the flower, chamaran vyajana. You can also do a short Arati for Narasimha Dev, which will be the Dhoop Arati with the ghee lamp. So the numbers don't change. that'll still say the same, the 7, 4, 2, 3, 7, then the flower 7, and then Chaman and Vyajana. So the timing you can decide, it's either going to be after the main Aarti in the morning or after the Gaur Aarti in the evening. So the Gaur Aarti in the evening, again, if you're going to do a full Aarti for Gaur Aarti, then you do full, else you do the short Aarti. Now for Gaur Aarti, there's two things that we can do. Either we can just sing the Gaur Aarti and do Aarti for everyone, all the deities. That's also completely okay. Or we can do Gaur Aarti just for Gaur Nitai. So both are completely fine, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Makes sense, Prabhuji. I did have one more question.
Yes.
So when you're like, okay, I have Narsimhadev in the altar along with everybody else. So when you're doing the main Aarti at that time itself, can we also offer to Narsimhadev or no?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
And
of course.
then in what order? When? Like
Yeah, so the
before
order will be so you will go to Radha, Krishna, Radha, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and after that you will go to Narasimhadev, and then we'll go to Gaur Nitai.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so that's also another thing is you can do the Aarti for everyone, and then after the Aarti just sing Narasimha Aarti. That is also okay, Mataji.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So when we sing, we don't have to offer anything separately then. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's so nice. We should have had this like a basic 101 training. It's something very, very basic, and we should have done this long back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Indulekha Mataji, for that question. You have time now, Prabhuji. One more question.
Yes.
Yeah, Jagannath Krishna Prabhuji, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much for a wonderful session yesterday as well as today. It's so helpful, very, very helpful for neophyte devotees like me. So Prabhuji, the question is if a devotee, when they begin Krishna conscious process, right, they don't have deities, they have the picture of Radha and Krishna at home and they are worshipping. So in that case, what should be the process of worship? The same thing that you mentioned could be done for them as well?
Yesterday's class we saw, right, that Hari Bhakti Vilas states that there are 8 different elements that a deity can be made out of. And one of them was painting or a picture. So it is as potent as getting deities.
Okay.
So if we see, the thing is, the potency of the deity is not dependent on what the deity is made out of. It's dependent on how we worship the deity. Like in Hindi, you say, right, Mano to patthar varna Bhagavan.
Right.
So if we keep a stone, like if you have shaligram, if I take it as a normal stone, then it's just a stone. But if I give the respect of a shaligram, then any stone can be Krishna, because everything is anyways coming from Krishna.
Of course, yeah.
Right. So it is all, the potency of the Lord is dependent on how we see the Lord. It's in our eyes, not the Lord himself.
Okay.
So yes, Prabhu, picture has the same effect, has the same potency as any deity would. Of course, you cannot dress picture, so that's why many devotees want deities, because then we can personally like touch the deities, dress them, and everything like that. So they for deities, but pictures are the same. They're the same. It's all in our. It's all how we see the deities.
No, this is helpful, because initially we begin and we see deities and then we think that is more opulent or something. But now you clarified that either we can do it. It's just about our mood of serving. That's what is more important than anything else.
See, in last Friday, Srila Prabhupada was talking about how Krishna is not dependent on his limbs. Krishna can eat from his eyes. Krishna can place food from his feet also.
Yeah.
Krishna doesn't need. He's not bound by these limbs. So just because it's a picture doesn't mean Krishna won't accept. Krishna is. It's just we have to accept that Krishna's there. Krishna's waiting for us to accept that he's there. So that's what we that's what we
yeah, that's true. And probably one more question.
Yes,
this mantra that you mentioned, certain mantras to be initiated, recited only by the second initiates and all that. So is there a specific reason that we should not be doing it, or how is that, probably?
Yes, Prabhu. So majority of the mantras that I gave in the presentation can be chanted by first initiates.
Okay.
Second initiates. I didn't give any second initiative mantras.
Okay.
But the reason is when we take initiation from the guru, we get two things, yag and mantra. So yag is actually the adhikar to worship deities. So
okay.
first initiation, actually, before Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there was only one initiation. That was the second initiation. There's no other. There's even in the Shastras, read Bhagavatam, any book, there is no mention of Harinam initiation and Brahmin initiation. There's only one initiation. Srila Prabhupada broke it down to Harinam and then the second because he wanted everyone to rise to that platform first before they So Brahmin is actually when we get yag, when we get the adhikar to chant these mantras. And we also get the thread, the Brahmin thread. That's only given to Brahmanas. It is not given to first initiation. And getting that thread by getting that adhikar to recite the Gayatri mantras, only then we should do these mantras, especially the mudras. Mudras only a Brahmana can do because he has the adhikar to worship the Lord.
Okay, so this is applicable even at home, right? Not just
Yes,
in...
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. It is applicable even at home. It is recommended that only Brahmana should even worship Radha Krishna. Of course, Srila Prabhupada made that easy that he allowed first initiates to also worship Radha Krishna. But Hari Bhakti Vilas recommends only second initiates.
Okay.
So first initiates, Prabhupada always said, worship God Nitai.
Right. Yeah.
And in one sense, it's an incentive to take second initiation to rise to that level.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? One should always rise to the level. Because the thing is, that other Mataji was saying that she's a Shudra. Mataji, everyone is a Shudra. All of us are Shudras. Like no one is an actual true Brahmana. It is not anymore by birth anymore. The birth actually does not have any consideration if you're a Brahmana or not. It is really by the actions. And Srila Prabhupada says in the 18th chapter, Samadapa Tapasaucham, that was, I don't know the exact words, but it says the qualities of a Brahmana. A qualities of a Brahmana, and he says in the purport that whoever follows these qualities is a Brahmana. So anymore, Brahmana is not by birth, it is by actions. What's the point of being born in a Brahmana family but going outside and eating meat? That's not true. So, of course, that Brahmana does not also mean getting the qualification because you need a guru to recite those mantras and give you yag. So that yag is actually given through the sacrificial fire, through the Agni, when the yagyas happened during the second initiation. So yag is given at that time. So unless we have the yag, we should avoid chanting majority of these mantras. The ones I gave in the PowerPoint that can be chanted. Like Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. And like if you see the mantras, actually majority of the mantras have none of them actually have see there is a bija mantra, right? Like the Om is a bija mantra.
Yeah.
Of course, actually only Brahmanas can chant the Om bija mantra, but Srila Prabhupada was so merciful that he allowed us to chant that bija mantra. So the mantras that have that Om, like for Tilak, Dharanam, even say Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. So that Om that can be chanted. All these mantras in the PowerPoint can be chanted by first initiates, second initiates, even non-devotees to a certain extent. But doing mudras, then chanting the mantras while offering arti, that is limited to only second initiates.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful session for yesterday and today, spending so much time educating all of us. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
So there were some questions in the chat I also want to address. Aparadha mantra should be chanted or one or all be chanted? Yes, Mataji, all should be chanted. All the mantras for Aparadha mantra should be chanted. That's why I said that either you can chant after every service if you have time, or you can chant one time only for kind of ultimating all the offenses that one has committed. Second thing was sometimes can we do mentally in some situations? Yes, Mataji, mentally can be done. Like if you have like for example, I have Shaligram and Giriraj. So I have to travel with them wherever I go. And there's certain things that I have to do mentally because I just don't have those items available to me. So that is completely fine, Mataji. We should try to avoid it as much as possible. We should be prepared. That is what Upadan is, being prepared for the deity worship. But of course, at times when we don't have the resources to do it, then mentally it can be done. Yes, Mataji. Then why do we need second initiation? So Srila Prabhupada actually said that to going back to Godhead, second initiation is not required. Only first initiation is required. Krishna does not check. Do you have a thread? Can you chant the Gayatri to go back to Godhead? But second initiation actually only for one reason, that is deity worship. You do not have the adhikar to do deity worship unless you're second initiated, Prabhu. So to do these services, to do deity worship, one must be second initiated. And by getting the Gayatri mantras, it is so helpful. It is a catalyst in your japa. I personally have seen that after I got second initiation, my japa has increased. My taste for japa has increased. My taste for reading Srila Prabhupada books has increased. So it's very much helpful when done sincerely. It should not be only taken for deity worship, but yes, the only reason we need second initiation is for deity worship. So all the second initiates, actually it says in the not Haripakti Vilas, in the Pancharatra Pradipa by ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry, and Srila Prabhupada also said many times that if a second initiated devotee is not rendering deity worship to the deities at the temple, his second initiation is worth. Like, it has no value. It's completely worthless. It's a waste of time. So unless you are doing deity worship, the second initiation holds no value. So all the second initiates, it was requested of Srila Prabhupada that they should take up the deity worship at home or at temple. So that is very important, Prabhu. And then Gaurarti can be done in morning. No, Mataji. Gaurarti is only done in the evening. It is an evening. That is what the standard. Actually, before Srila Prabhupada, there was no Gaurarti actually. No one used to do Gaurarti. It was Srila Prabhupada who set the standard that Gaurarti must be done. Between 6:30 and 7:30, Gaurarti should be done only in the evenings, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, practice to make the sound better for conch. It's all practice. It should not be too long, like we see in Mayapur, they go for very long. At home, it is not required. You can do just short sound, a little bit long, it's fine. It sounds nice. Actually, the sound of the conch is to remove any inauspiciousness. It is so powerful. It actually removes all the inauspiciousness in the house. So blowing conch shell is very important. Before Aarti, you blow a conch shell. After Aarti, you blow the conch shell as well. So just 2 times that you blow the conch shell. Thank you. We can continue, Mataji, with the questions.
Yeah. Hemi Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Dharmat Pranam Prabhuji. I'm a very, not even a beginner, I would consider myself, but I just have pictures. I have like 2 questions. One is, I heard or read somewhere that I put a water tilak basically. So I go on my knee, like one knee, like the right knee down, and I'm sitting like with the right knee down only. And then I do that. Is that correct? That's one. And second is, I have the Damodar Leela picture also on my altar. So what sequence would that come in? Thank you.
So Tilak, Mataji, actually has no requirements. For example, what I mean by that is that you don't have to put water tilak, you can put Gopi Chandan actually. Gopi Chandan, the main requirements for putting Gopi Chandan usually are following the 4 regulative principles. So if you're following the 4 regulative principles, you can wear Tulsi also, you can put Gopi Chandan tilak also. I have personally not heard of any like vidhi that you put the knee down. Usually there are 2 ways to put tilak. Either you sit on an asana and you put tilak, or you stand on an asana. That's the only 2 things that I know of based on Hari Bhakti Vilas. I have not personally read or know that you should put only one knee down. I personally only know that we should sit on an asana, you should sit properly, do your achman and then put tilak, or you can stand on an asana, do your achman and then put tilak. Then second question, Mataji, for Damodar. So it depends on what deities you have, even the pictures, but the whole point is that we start with Krishna first and then we move down from there. So first deities is Krishna, If you're Radha Krishna, even Damodar, so you do Krishna and then Yashoda, and then you move down to the whatever other pictures you have, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, I have one question with follow-up question about what Amy Mataji asked. You are saying standing in asan for Tilak. Standing in asan means like, what does it mean, Prabhuji? I didn't get. Stand straight, right? That's all.
Yes, Mataji. Yes. Standing
That's
on
it,
asan,
right?
what I mean by standing on asan is actually your feet should not touch the ground.
Oh, okay.
So you should have like a mat that you stand on.
Okay.
Usually recommended is kusha grass mat. Now, of course, that's not available everywhere. So a normal like a mat, if you just get like in a dollar store or a Walmart, they have mats. So just buy a mat. And when we do arti, actually,
Arti also we keep the mat.
Any spiritual activity, we should not be standing on the ground.
Okay.
It should always be on a mat, sitting on the mat, or standing on a mat. Your feet should never touch the ground.
Okay. Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Bhakti Prada Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for your wonderful session, Prabhuji. You're telling very nicely everything, very clearly. I have a question regarding Kaunch, Prabhuji. When I give back to my deities, especially like when I am giving them pancha, like milk and yogurt and
Panchakavya.
yeah, that one. So it will be sticked inside. Even though I use brush, it is not going. So how can I clean it?
So one way is, Mataji, that is you can put in hot water. So what happens is when you put usually the only two things that will stick is going to be honey and ghee. So what you can do is if you put in hot water, the honey will sort of melt a little bit, so it's easier to clean. That is the way I do. And usually most of the times it'll get cleaned. You can use a brush, but the brush doesn't go all the way into the conch.
Yeah.
Right. So the best way is to put a little bit of hot water. Like what I do is on a pot, I'll warm some hot water, put the conch in for like a couple minutes and let it dissolve the honey and the ghee and everything. And then take it out and just wash it with warm water and it's fine.
Okay. So when can we change the conch, Prabhuji? After how many years?
There is no requirement of changing conches, Mataji. Unless it becomes khandit, unless it becomes broken, then it should change. Else the conch can be used for.
Okay. Now I see it is fungus inside. It is not sticking, but it has turned to the fungus. So I'm thinking to change it because
then Mataji, if you're not able to clean it, then of course you can definitely go ahead and get another new conch.
Yes, Prabhuji. And one more question I was thinking about was when can we wake them up, Prabhuji? Because at our home, we don't follow these standards. A lot of standards are there. So we don't do anything like at home. So not everything. So at what time we can wake them up?
So for home standards, usually what Pancharatra Pradipa states is one can wake them up around, it's usually said before sunrise actually, but 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, that's fine, based on whatever your schedule permits. See, it all goes to one point is that the best that you can do, right? You always want to give Krishna the best and be consistent with it. If you decide that you will wake the Lord up at 7 o'clock, then it should be 7 o'clock every single day without fail.
But at home, it is not possible, Prabhuji, because sometimes kids will be there and my kid, they are small.
So that's the thing, Mataji, there are adjustments that need to be done, right? There are things that one has to do. The thing is that you have to make the way. The way will not come to you, right? If you have deities and you're worshipping deities, then their standard has to be followed. Other things can be adjusted, but this thing should not be adjusted. What I'm trying to say is that there should be no deity worship should be the priority. Doing home things are also very important. And like, for example, if the only time you get to do deity worship is after your kids go to school or they're free, that's fine. That's completely fine. If you only get free around 9 o'clock, then that's completely fine. Wake the deities at 9 o'clock. But then the thing is that just be consistent with that time. Set up a discipline so that no matter what, you are trying to get the deities woke up by 9, 9:30. That's fine. The whole point is that be consistent with the timings. Don't worry about waking them up at Brahma Muhurta. Don't worry about making them before Brahma Muhurta. The whole point is
Muhurta, Prabhuji, because some devotees, they wake them up before Brahma Muhurta and they do Mangalarti and they do chant also at the time.
Yes,
so that's okay if they do, and later on they make them sleep. So then
it's completely fine.
Okay.
He give Krishna midday nap too. He can also take a small midday nap. That's completely fine.
Yes.
But the thing is, that's actually very important. Shri Prabhupada mentioned so many times and emphasized it that we should have a Mangalarti program at our home daily. We should encourage the kids to wake up, do the Mangalarti, and then it's fine if they go back to sleep. That's completely fine. But they should wake up. You should have a home like Mangalarti standard. Shri Prabhupada said so many times. And even if you have heard of Arudha Mataji, in her book also, it is said that you should have a daily morning program with the kids. That's the whole point of doing things at home, Mataji, is to engage the kids. That's the whole point. That's the only reason. That's the only way they'll get interested in it. That's the only way they'll get interested in Krishna consciousness, is to engage them what you do. They will follow what you do, Mataji. If you are going to follow that, oh, I'll wake up whenever I want, then they'll also wake up whenever they want. If you follow a strict standard for yourself, they'll see that, oh, my parents are following, let me also follow. I've seen that in my personal life. I'll tell you honestly. I've seen that in my personal life. Sometimes, but early in the stages, I used to see my parents, like, they'll do their rounds whenever they want. Like, it was not like waking up at 4 o'clock. And I was like, then why do I need to wake up? I can do them anytime. And now slowly, like, they're so much stricter, and I'm trying to get strict with my schedule based on college also. So they will do what you do. So if you wake them up early, like, if they, of course, never force them for anything. Never force them for it. If they don't want to wake up, that's fine. Why don't you wake up? If they're sleeping at 4:30 to 6, that's a perfect time to wake up and do deity worship. It doesn't take more than 2 hours to do all this.
Yes. Yeah, I feel the same thing, Prabhuji, but I feel like at least Saturday, Sundays, kids can join. Then can I change things? That's okay. Like, then I feel someday I'm waking them up in this time, and other day I'm doing this. So is that okay? That also I feel sometimes.
Yes, Mataji, that is okay. If like for example, if you do like, let's say Monday to Friday, you wake up at 4:30 and do the deity worship. And then on Saturday, Sunday, you're trying to engage the kids, so you wake the deities at 7 o'clock. That is fine. They're home deities, so that is fine. But it should not be like then. But if you set a schedule that from Monday to Friday you're going to do at 4:30, then it should not be like, oh, I don't feel like waking up today, so let me wake them at 7 o'clock. Anyways, I wake them up on Saturday at 7 o'clock. That should not be done. That should not be done. That's my point, is that there should be no cutting the corners in deity worship.
Yeah, Prabhuji, will try, because this much strict I cannot go Monday to
That's
Friday.
why, Mataji, that's why low standards is okay. If you cannot, then that's okay. That's completely okay. Do the best that you can do, Mataji.
Yes.
See, the thing is, you know the best. You know what you can give, and Krishna knows what you can give. I cannot judge. I cannot say that, Mataji, you should do this, or someone else cannot say that, Mataji, you should do that. We know what the best we can give. So again, the thing is that deity worship is a relationship between you and Krishna. You, your guru, and Krishna. These three are the only people involved. Not even your family, Mataji. A relationship that you have with Krishna is between you and Krishna and your guru, no one else. So you know your best, your guru, if not a guru, then Srila Prabhupada, and Krishna knows the best. They know what you can give and what you cannot give. And there is no way to hide anything from them. Krishna is in your heart. So you cannot hide. So one will know what the best that they can offer. And if that is the best that they can offer, then do that, but do it with love and devotion.
Yes.
Give your best with love and devotion, and Krishna always accepts that.
Yes. One more question I wanted to ask is, Prabhuji, like, we follow some rules and regulations after coming to Krishna consciousness, we are following. But what about the, like, I did not have deities before. Earlier, we did not have. So, like, I feel sometimes we seeing other devotees, just they chant Krishna's name at least. So they have some deities and they don't even because they are following since many years and many decades, and they are having some meat eating and all things. And if they do, what will happen? And sometimes we see they are also very nice. They are very nice. They are very good to see, and every financially also, behavior wise, everything is good. So, like, is there any mistake with that, or else is that okay? Can I know the answer, Prabhuji?
I didn't clearly get your question, Mataji. Sorry.
Actually, I see some people who they do Lakshmi Narayan worship, Prabhuji, but they don't follow 4 regulated principles. But they are in the behavior wise and financially, everything is very good. So do they have to face any consequences future, or else is that okay for them if they continue like that, because they don't know anything since still they are doing?
So if we
should do something after seeing them, or else we should.
They will definitely, it's not that they won't have consequences, they will, but that's again, we cannot tell that for sure. That is between them and Krishna. If we are at a position to correct them, like if we are their mentor, then we should correct them. If we are their friend, like a really good friend, close friend, then we can softly and nicely tell them that this is not the correct thing. You should not do this when you're eating or not following the 4 rules. But if we are not in any such position, then Mataji, then that is between them and Krishna. We should do what we know is perfect. If we know that this is incorrect, we should not do it. Let them do if they want to do. Yes. There's so many times like I'll see like people doing yagyas, especially, and they don't follow the right procedures that are mentioned. But I'm in no place to correct them, so I don't have a reason to say anything. That is between what they're doing in their Krishna. Maybe the devotion is so high, and if they're in a good position, like financially, then that doesn't necessarily mean that this is from. It is the mercy of Krishna. It might be the good past part of the karma, right? The karma is so good from previous life that they're still able to be financially good. But it's not that they will not get consequences. They will definitely get consequences. What they will get, that is between them and Krishna. But they'll definitely get consequences. But if we are not in a position to correct them, then we should just focus on our own thing, Mataji. We should do what we can do for best for Krishna. Let others do what they need to do.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, definitely. But I have tried to tell them, but still they don't listen, so I cannot do anything.
Then Mataji, you follow that 10 offenses. It is an offense to instruct a faithless person with the glories of the Holy Name. Yes. If they're not going to listen, then there's no point keep telling them the same thing if they're not ready to listen. Then let's just let them be, and we focus on our own swadhyaya and our own sadhanas.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for clearing so many. These were very, very important also, and so many times I feel these questions. So never has come, this deity worship hasn't come till now. So I was thinking, but I could not ask anyone these things. I have asked you today. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
That's the best way I've seen that. The best way of learning is asking questions. Like, no, I've personally always felt that like recently when I did the installation for Gaur Nitai, the head pujari there was asking me so many questions, and she was feeling embarrassed that she's asking these silly questions. And I was like, Mataji, it is completely okay. The more questions you ask, the better. I would rather take the silly questions. Well, first of all, the question is not silly. I would rather take the question rather than you doing something wrong. So it's better to always get clarified. Like this question in Mataji is asking that, how about the carpeted house? No, Mataji, you need to ask anyone in carpeted house. You're still catching the ground, so you should have an asan.
Sure, sure.
And yes, Mataji, you can sit cross-legged. Yes, Mataji. The afternoon nap. So Mataji, that can actually give the nap can be given after the bhoga, the noon bhoga that you offer. So after that, the nap can be given, and you can give the nap for like 3 hours, 4 hours. Like for example, we at our home we do like We give them nap around 1 o'clock and then we wake up around 5 o'clock. Sometimes we'll give them 2 o'clock and then wake up around 5:30. So that's fine. 3 to 4 hours nap that's okay.
We have one more question, Prabhuji. Is that okay?
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. Kavita Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much. Like so many things, like I didn't know so many things, and you clarified that. And earlier, but I had the question, you clarified in between giving answers to others. But again, one question arises, Prabhuji. You told like we can do some timing like worship, and for Gonitai we should do 6:30 to 7 o'clock. But Prabhuji, sometimes it happens like we are fixing that time, but sometimes there is a program we have to go 4 o'clock, or sometimes there is a program we have to go 5 o'clock. So is it fine, Prabhuji, like before going we can do like at 4 o'clock sometimes, like if we have emergency, and sometimes 5:30 like that?
Yes, Mataji. There always will be days where exceptions are needed. And again, the question boils down to one thing is, if that's the best we can do, then yes, it is completely okay to do it before going to the program. Like, for one example, let's say the program is at 4 o'clock, but you can be back at home by 7. If that's possible, then come home at 7 and then do the aarti. If it's going to get late, you know that it's going to get late, then do it before you go. That's fine. Doing it early is fine. Better not to skip.
Yeah, and same with the Tulsi Aarti, Prabhuji, like whenever we are going, just we make sure like we do Gaur Aarti, and we think like it is not sunset and we will be late. Like sometime it happens in temple, like the program goes long, and we are coming by 10 o'clock. So at that time we can do or just...
Yes, Mati. I mean, you don't want to do it too late. So like, if you know you're coming back by 9, 10 o'clock, then it's best to skip it rather than, because the deities also need to sleep.
Yeah.
And after sunset, no puja should be done.
Even Tulsi Puja, Prabhuji?
Tulsi Puja should be done in the morning, Mati. Tulsi Puja is always done in the morning. It's not done in the evening.
Actually, as I heard from Adhikata Prabhuji, he told like we should do early, like morning and evening, both the time.
Yeah, again, you can do it. See, of course, you can do it during evening also. That's not a problem. Recommendation by what Srila Prabhupada has said is in the morning.
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada always emphasized, like, if you see the Mangal Aarti schedule, you see the Tulsi Aarti is in the morning, not in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah, it is okay to do it. That's the thing is, you can do puja before sunset. After the Surya Dev sets, no puja should be done. There is no puja in the Vedas that is recommended or even allowed after sunset. So the last Aarti is basically Gaur Aarti or Narsimha Aarti. That is the last, because that is right at sunset. After that, no puja should happen. The only puja should be giving shrine to the deities.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So we have some chat questions, Prabhuji, again.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, you can do 24 ashramans in the standing position also. I would say it's best to sit down, just because in the starting, when we are learning to do these things, they are long. They can take some time. So nicely, you can situate yourself on the asan and do the ashmans. Ashman can be done in a standing position. That's completely fine. Best to sit down and do.
So, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have one question. So everybody was asking about Harati right time. My problem is offering is not being properly given to them. Correct timings I am not able to maintain. So how do I make myself disciplined to give Lord correct time prasada bhogma? Prabhuji, can you explain me, because it's really getting, so someday I do at one time, someday I do at one time. There is no proper schedule. So how can I start up with that?
So let me ask this, does the child get food on time always?
Yes, Prabhuji. Not only child, I am also having the food, but I'm not able to give my deities. So that is my problem. So please help me out with that.
So if you treat the Lord as a person, then how can you keep them hungry? Right? If your child is getting food at the right time, you're getting the food at the right time, then they deserve the food at the right time also. So the motivation Mataji should come from oneself, understanding the position of the deity. Again, it is not just a Vigraha made out of brass, metal, stone. It is Krishna himself. It is the deity himself. It is an offense to consider them anything else except a deity. We think that, oh, just because Prana Pratishtha has not happened at home, the deity is not deity. That's not true, Mataji. Just because it has the form of the deity, it is already Prana Pratishtha. And who are we to install Prana actually? Who are we to install a Prana into Lord? He is the one who gives us Prana. And how can we install Prana? So the thing is that if we treat them as a person and we truly understand the position of the deity, then we personally will get the motivation from inside to give them things on time. Right? If we can give time to if we can give food to ourselves, our family on time, then we can definitely do that for the deities. So that's something that will come on its own from internally. It's not something that someone can make you do. But of course, understand the consequences that by not giving the proper importance to Shri Vigraha. That's why yesterday's class, I only kept on understanding what is Shri Vigraha. You have to understand the importance. You have to understand the position Shri Vigraha holds in our lives, in our family, in our house, that we have to give them that respect.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Problem comes when there is a leftover food in the fridge. That's when I feel like, okay, today let's do little late cooking because there is already leftover food. So the morning water and fruit is offered when we do Mangal Arati. That time water and fruit is offered was because 4:30 deities are wake up. That has been done. But like afternoon lunch or any one thing, I want to give exact time, like maintain like how Mangal Arati is done, like that. But it is not coming. I'm trying, but it's not coming. So I should.
So what you can do, Mataji, is so if you know that this day you'll give them a late offering because there's leftovers. Then in the morning, just prepare some small khichdi for the deities. So at least they are not hungry at all. They should have some grains. They should be given some grains. Just fruits is not enough. So if you just make like a small 1 cup khichdi just for the deities, that they have the grains, and then when you give them lunch, give them a proper lunch, of course. That is fine. That is okay. Because there's always going to be leftovers. There always are leftovers. So like even at our home, like sometimes we'll have so many leftovers. So we'll just prepare some small offering for the deities, some grain offering, so that if we know that we're going to give them a better lunch later on, then we can give them a little bit small offering at that time. That's fine. But just fruits will not do.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Again, I have one more raised hand, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Shama Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji, with your question.
Thank you, Prabhuji. One more question, actually 2 more questions. So at our house, we offer the whole lunch prasadam in the morning itself, because then, I'm working, etc. And then there's another offering in the evening. Is that okay if there's no offering at noon? That's how we eat.
That is fine, Mataji. That, again, it's the best that we can do. And the thing is that the timings for bhoga, it's not important to focus on what time you're giving. It's more important to focus that we're consistent with that time.
Yes.
Right. Like if one day, like if you're giving them in the morning, then if you're consistent with that time, then that is fine. That is completely okay. The whole thing is that we have to give them a full proper feast at least once a day.
Yes, Prabhuji.
That can be done in the morning if that's fine, if that's what's available, noon or evening, whatever works.
And Prabhuji, my main deities are Shri Shri Netai Sachinandan, and I have a small picture of Narasimha Dev, and I have a small Bal Gopal, silver, but that is hollow from inside. And these are the 3 main deities on the altar. So every time I worship, I start with Gaur Nitai because they are the main deities. But now should I be doing Bal Gopal first, then Narasimha Dev, and then coming to Gaur Nitai?
No, Mataji, I mean, if you think about it, Gauranga is just Krishna only. So
Yes.
if they are the main deities, then you will first do Gaur, then Nitai, then Gopal, and then Narasimhadev.
Okay.
See, depends on what mood we worship them in. If we worship them in the mood of them, Gauranga being devotees, then they will not like us worshipping them before Gopal. So it depends on what the mood that we have set for the deities. Like if we are worshipping Gauranga as being the supreme personality of Godhead, then that is completely fine. If we worship Gauranga in the mood of being devotees, then I would recommend you do Gopal first. They can be main deities, that's completely fine. Gauranga still can be main deities. But then it'd be best to first offer the artis to Gopal, then Gauranga, then Nityananda, then Narasimhadev.
And Prabhuji, the fact that the Bal Gopal silver deity is hollow, is that a problem?
Mataji, all deities at home are hollow. No, none of them are filled. Only Ashtadhatu is filled. And at home, thing is that if it's filled, they'll be very heavy, regardless of their size. They'll be very heavy if they're fully metal, Mataji. Majority of the deities at home are hollow only from inside.
So that's okay.
That is completely okay. Only and only Ashtadhatu deities that are getting Prana Pratishtha at temple are full, like inside they're full solid metal. Else they're all hollow.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat.
Is anybody having any more questions? 2 hours class today. Prabhuji had to have answered so many questions. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, is there any last minute questions more?
One question in the chat that how many times the Prabhu offer Bhoga in kitchen only? No, in one sense, Mataji, it should not be offered in kitchen. If deities have an altar, then the Bhoga should go on the altar to get offered. I know many devotees actually, they'll keep the deities on an altar and then they keep a picture in the kitchen and they'll offer only in the kitchen. I would say the rule that they have asked me and I've set for them is anything that you're cooking in the kitchen from raw scratch should always go on the deity's altar to get offered. Let's say if you're bringing something from the outside, then you can offer that to the picture in the kitchen. That is fine. But whatever you're cooking, like doing the raw vegetables, making the sabji, that has to be offered on the deities on the altar. So it's always best to offer everything to the deities on the altar, even if it's on the outside actually. Best is to offer everything to the deities, not in the kitchen.
So we have more raised hands, Prabhuji. Sir, today you are not going. You're going to sit here.
No worries.
Okay. Vaneshwari Lakshmi Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, mine's not a question, but it's a comment. Yesterday, I was listening to a class from Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, and he was explaining how you know if you're progressing on your Krishna consciousness, if you have raised your standard and try and go for a higher goal. And I was thinking, what should I do? What does this mean for me? And then this class comes, and I realized how low my standard has been. So Krishna has very appropriately given me, this is what I expect. So I want to thank you very much because it put a lot of things in perspective. I felt that I was, I'm doing my puja, I'm doing devotional service and this, but then I realized where my standard is and where my standard should be. And I realized I got to raise the bar. So I thank you very much. So I may be calling you with a lot more questions when it comes to me.
No worries.
Thank you for so good for both classes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
We have Nitya Narasimha Prabhu. Please go ahead, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Prabhuji, really, thank you very much for such an amazing session. You clarified so many doubts. My question is, Prabhuji, in the altar, Panchatattva photo is there and Gaurnita is also there. So, like, if we have deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, then like Lord Narasimhadeva, then the positioning, like, can we put where should be the Panchatattva photo should be put in the altar, Prabhuji?
So if let's say you have Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, right? So the first altar will be Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, the highest, and then lower than that actually you can basically just have Gaurnitai, Panchatattva, and Nrsimhadev on the same level. So Panchatattva will be always on the same level as Gaurnitai.
Fine, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
See, the thing is, the main thing of deciding where to put which deity is to understand their mood. Gaurnitai is worshipped in the mood of a devotee. That's why even though Gauranga, being Krishna, does not get offered a peacock fan, you will never see a peacock fan on the top of a crown for Gauranga. He's a devotee. And sometimes they say that not even offer Tulsi on the feet of Gauranga, because Gauranga says, I am also a devotee, Tulsi is also a devotee. How can I accept Tulsi on my feet? So if we truly follow the mood, then in that sense, Gauranga would always want Jagannath, his Lord. We know the pastimes that took place between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath in Puri. Respecting those pastimes, we know that Jagannath is the most worshipable Lord of Gauranga. So how can he accept Jagannath not being lower than him or on the same level than him? So for Gauranga and Nityananda, we have to keep in mind the mood. Radha Krishna has to always be the highest. Krishna is like Govinda Madi Purusham. I am only Bhagavan. So of course he wants that kind of treatment, right? He wants that kingly nice treatment. So he's always on the top. Then you have Jagannatha, Baladev, Subhadra, because they're not different. And then Gauranga and Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, and then Nrsimhadev can be on the same level. That's fine. If we only have, let's say, if you're doing 2 levels, then you have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Devi, and Sudarshan. And then the second level, you can have like Gauranga, Nityananda, and then bunch of the pictures and Nrsimhadev in the middle or something like that. That can be done.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Is there any more last questions before we close the call? Okay, there are no chat questions and no raised hands. So once again, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a detailed class and very nice question and answer session. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhye vacha putitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Ujjval Rasananda Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today's session. We'll meet again tomorrow.